Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli. This is the final episode here of the summer, as it is September 16th, 2023, meaning in a few days it will officially be fall. And, we were saying on the last episode that anything after Labor Day really, that just feels like fall has begun. Summer has ended. But, we take any day that's over 80 degrees with sun. We can lay out, get some tan going, all that fun stuff. Get to the pool if it's still open. Those are the bonus summer days, in my opinion, because following this is a nice fall season into winter, which is something that can cause some seasonal depression for some folks. I know I had it last year when we were deprived of sunshine for about 72 days or something like that. But hey, that's just what happens. You just manage that. So where I'm going with this episode here, I kind of came up with this 7 points of giving less fucks. And giving less fucks doesn't mean not caring about what's important. It means giving less fucks about things that aren't important and shifting the focus to what is. Per usual, I tell you, I'm not an expert at this stuff. I'm trying to learn it myself, trying to implement it myself, trying to make it part of my life. So I just come on here and talk about it. Doesn't mean I'm an expert, doesn't mean I'm a know-it-all, doesn't mean I have it down to a science. So I'm all up for discussion. If I can help somewhere, maybe you can help me. That's just the way this goes. This is not a preaching type of podcast, as you know. I just kind of throw my ideas and my opinions out there and what I'm doing. So I have the reason I'm doing this episode is because, I get overwhelmed a lot and I can spiral and I can fill my head with a lot of tasks, a lot of things, a lot of unnecessary worry, a lot of unnecessary things that aren't even real, to be honest with you. Like, you can just kind of make up shit in your head and it just kind of like so naturally goes in that direction to where you just start thinking and catastrophizing. Again, I don't know if I say that word right, but like that's something that I have done, I think, my whole life, and over the past few years have started to become more self-aware of that. So I'm just going to jump right into the 7 things that I kind of do that help me to kind of alleviate that tension within my middle section of my body, into my chest and everything like that, where I will overwhelm myself by almost a subconscious, just autopilot type of way. So I had to kind of alleviate that a little bit just to have some internal peace. Again, it's a work in progress. So number 1 is realizing that this shit is temporary. So everything is temporary, good times, bad times, all of that. So, like if something sucks, if you're going through some bullshit, you have to remember that you're going to go and realize that this is not forever. This is a temporary thing, no matter what it is. Even good things are. And that's harder to put in your head. When something's good, you want to say, oh, this is temporary. This is not going to last forever. But you can flip that into gratitude. So, that's where, if you struggle with gratitude, and I know that's kind of a buzzword at this point, but it's real. It's a real thing. It's a real way to achieve some sort of happiness and contentment. So with gratitude, if you're in a positive situation and you're sort of like, and you take this shit is temporary, that mindset should shift so that you go ahead and appreciate the time, because it's going to be minimum. And it's going to end. That's it. So that's just the way it is. And then if you're in a bad situation, you can look at the other side of the coin on it and just realize, hey, this is temporary. This is not going to last. Just like the good times, these bad times will not last. Okay. Obviously that will negate anything that's a permanent sort of thing. And that's just the way it is, but there's always exceptions to the rule, of course. But for the vast majority of things we go through that appear negative, appear like they're going to be forever, aren't, and it's temporary, and we adapt and we move forward. So just telling yourself that this shit is temporary, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, if it's a negative in your life, you realize that it's not there forever. There will be better days. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. all sort of cliches you want to throw at that. And if you're having a good time, you know what, realize it. Hey, this is temporary. Let's fucking enjoy it right as it's happening, whatever that is. You know, let's not sulk and get sad that, hey, this is going to end one day. This is going to be not there one day, whatever it is. So that's what whole living in the moment sort of thing, and taking that route. So that's number one. This shit is temporary. Remember that either way, and find the positive side, however you go. Number two, in 100 years, will this even matter? Now, this can be depressing, and was reading Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, and he sort of shit on this a little bit, and with good cause, because, you know, if you start saying in 100 years, will any of this matter, you can run the risk of getting a little depressed over that, because a lot of times in 100 years, none of this will matter. And that can be very demoralizing, demotivating, and something that means there's no meaning to anything. So in that light, yes, that is probably not the best thought process. But in some cases, in 100 years, will this matter? Is something you can use for like petty little bullshit that's stressing you the fuck out. That's like, hey, you know what? Like, okay, so you think someone might have a certain opinion of you based on something. Will that person's opinion fucking mean anything in 100 years? No, we're all going to be dust. We're all going to be gone. So remember that, like, take yourself out of that bubble that you're in, that we create ourselves, that is just something we sit in and we live in, and we have this mentality of just, this is our perception is the world. And that is literally not the case. And in 100 years, a lot of this will not matter. That can be, just like the shit is temporary, it can be a depressing thought. It can maybe spiral into some like low levels of feeling meaningful with what you're doing. But, you know, everything you're going through, it passes, like we said, when it's temporary. But right now, you know, it's not going to last. So the negativity is not going to last, and it doesn't matter, and it's not going to matter one day. So take that as some relief, that if it's shitty, if it's an opinion, if you're worried about it, it doesn't matter. In 100 years will not fucking matter. And, you know, use that one in a way, you know, situationally, and, you know, different ways of sort of, you know, what you're going through. Don't let it depress you, but let it say, okay, alleviate you. Say, all right, in 100 years, is this shit that's bothering me going to matter? No. But you know what? If you're doing something great, you know what you're instilling in your kids, you know, what you write, what you create, that might be around in 100 years. That generational stuff that you're passing down to your kids, that kind of stuff is something to be concerned about, and that can trickle down and affect your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and down the road in 100 years. Generational wealth can be one of them, just passing down good habits, breaking some sort of emotional curses that have been sort of passed down. Maybe there was traumas that kind of keep getting passed down because it's conditioning as it goes. You can change that, and that will matter in 100 years. But, you know, a lot of little things, they won't. So in 100 years, will this even matter? Probably not. Number three, simplify things. For me, it's like, if me or my children had a serious illness, or if they were in some sort of bad situation, would the shit that's bothering me right now even fucking matter? Like, if the kids were diagnosed with a severe illness, life-threatening, what's irritating me, is that even on my radar at that point when that's going down? So, like, you know, that's just kind of like, if you simplify it to what's most important, and if those aspects are going well, if I'm healthy, I'm feeling my best physically, mentally, emotionally, my kids are feeling their best physically, mentally, emotionally, I should just go ahead and, you know, realize that, hey, you know, my feelings for other things are real, but maybe that can cause some sort of like alleviation of the alarm that goes off inside. And, you know, you just realize, all right, look, my kids are fine. You can look at them. They're good. They're happy. They're content. They're healthy. This is good. That is the like utmost important right there. And then yourself too, you know, if you're feeling good, you know, you have your health, it's so important, and every level, like we were saying. So, you know, just like take the situation and compare it to something that would be a tragedy or a catastrophe of sorts, something really serious to think about. And a lot of times you're going to find that, okay, the shit that's bothering me, while it still will, it's not worth the internal alarm and panic that it maybe kind of going on within. So that's another one that I will kind of do. So I'll realize it's temporary. Will it matter in 100 years? And hey, are my kids healthy and me? All right, now we're on to something here. I'm breathing a little bit better at this point. Then you go on to number 4. Most people will find criticism and negativity in whatever you do. And social media is now a huge thing, obviously. So, and people will dehumanize each other through the screens. And there's going to be a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, a lot of ego, a lot of narcissism all through that. And they're just going to barf their perception of you onto you, whether you're, someone whether it's a stranger in a thread. They don't care. They don't know. They literally just see you as a name and an icon on a screen. Therefore, it's very, very dehumanizing. And people will say a lot more behind their screen, and protect that. So, just realize that a lot of times that this is just the way people are going to operate, and they're going to look for the negative, and they're going to look for what's imperfect about you and call that out. So most people are just like that. So you're going to have to just be like, you know what, that's just the way this is. That's just how they're wired. They're doing it for themselves. And that's exactly what brings me to number 5. That is a reflection on them, not on you. When somebody's going to come at you with their bullshit, it could be a boss, a friend, a family member, anybody. If they're struggling with something and they're having an insecurity, a past trauma, they're conditioned a certain way. They're having a fear of the future. They're going to want to try to control something. They're going to want to try to bring somebody down with them into their pit of misery and despair. That's just what they're conditioned to do a lot of times, and it's not an excuse. They're just doing it on autopilot, and that's on them. Their insecurities are being projected. That's a term used a lot. Projecting their own feelings onto another person. That's a lot of reasons, why, people will display things like anger, spite, vengeance, hate, all of that, because they're just feeling something themselves and they need an outlet for that. And an unhealthy one is on another person and tearing them down and making them feel like shit just to have some company in their misery. So it's likely them. That's a great way to jump out and be objective and not be offended. That's another thing. If you're taking it at you, that's one thing that I used to do all the time. Protect my ego. I would protect my ego. It wasn't even a conscious thing. It was just my reaction. And while still not fully there, that is something that I'm working on and getting better at, believe it or not, to where I'm like, all right, you know what? This is not being done to me. This is them doing them. And I just happen to be the person that's taking it at that point. So that's kind of just the way you have to look at it, as an objective outsider, almost just kind of say, all right, well, that's you're doing you. I'm not going to react to it and give you that satisfaction of my misery. I'm going to just be unfuckwithable, which is a great word. I love it. I think it's fake, but it's been used before. So you just kind of got to become unfuckwithable with these people. They're struggling, and they don't know they're struggling in a lot of ways. They just are in their hamster wheel of life and going on there. And then speaking of that, number 6, you're not the star of life. I'm not the star of life. Nobody's the star of life. However you want to do it. Everyone wants to think they are. And it's not anybody's fault. We just kind of feel like we are living in our heads. We live within our bodies and our perception. We live within it. So we are naturally going to think that life is about us as we are the main character. The whole world is not our reality show. This is not a Truman Show. It's like traffic driving, right? So, I heard this on a podcast. I think Mel Robbins was talking about it. Like, everyone, if you compare life, it's like driving around, right? We're all driving our car. For a little bit, we're going to observe somebody and they're driving, and we're going to make a quick reaction to them without really knowing what's going on in their car. We'll see them for a little bit, and then they're going to pass us, and then we're going to go back to driving our car and thinking about ourselves. So that's kind of the way it goes. Like, people are going to have an opinion of you, and it's going to be fleeting. They're going to probably just say something or do or think something and then go on with their life, and let them think what they want, because literally that it doesn't matter. Where you go back to, number 2, in 100 years, will this even matter? Their opinion probably will not, almost 100% not. So when you really think about it, they're just driving their car. They can kind of observe you for a minute. They're going to make their perception, they don't know what's up. They're going to look at you. They're going to go back and think they're the star driving their car, and they're going to encounter so many other drivers, and we're going to count so many other people throughout the day, whether it's scrolling on social media, walking through a store, whatever it is, and they're just going to come up with their own opinion based on their mindset, their conditioning, and their own path. And that's just where you're going to fall. That perception is reality bullshit. But let them live in their perceptions. You cannot trying to change the perception of a person is one of the most difficult things. Trying to change their diet is tough. I know I do that. That's a hard thing to do, but that also ties into their conditioning and where they've been. So, trying to change somebody's perception is a losing battle. It's a frustration. It's literally a waste of time because their perception truly, really doesn't matter in so many ways. Like caring that much about what a person thinks of you, is nonsense. It doesn't matter. The fact that we care about that is truly the energy being directed in the wrong place, in my opinion. And it's not easy because, I'm very much like, hey, this is who I am. I want people to know that. And if they have a differing, it used to drive me insane. It used to drive me nuts. I would literally just sit there and be like, no, this is how I feel. This is what I am. This is who I am. You need to understand me now. They just might not. And they don't care to. And the more you try, the more they're going to resist. And it's just going to become this back and forth shit of trying to prove who you are to somebody. Just let them think. Let them think what they want, because when you go back, it's not going to fucking matter in the long run what they think. It will not matter at all. And the last one, number 7, take an objective view, step outside yourself, realize you're human, and this may just be your turn to go through some shit. And in most cases, you're not a victim. So bad shit happens as humans. It's just the way it is. This one, number 7 here, is the greatest one, because being able to step outside yourself, look at yourself as just part of a construct, that we're all humans. We all go through some shit in life, good and bad. When it's not going well, we kind of can succumb to some victimhood, some self-pity. It goes along with all of that. You just realize it's your turn, and it sucks. It's hard to do because you're going to take away that poor me, that why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. And just revert back to point number 1, that it's temporary. And that's really what you have to do to get through it, because you're going to go through bad shit. You're going to go through something that's going to suck. It's part of literally whatever this is that we're in, whatever this sector of life, whatever we call this existence we have, going through bad shit is part of life. And I think we kind of have a society right now that the generation that's growing up, and I know the older generations are always seeking out what's wrong with the new generation, the younger generation, but it really does feel like that we have this, no one can be sad, no one can be upset, we have to fix these feelings of negativity. Everyone has to be happy all the time. Well, I'll tell you this, trying to be happy all the time brings nothing but misery, because you will not be happy all the time, because that's just not how this works. It's unfortunate, but you just, like I said, you have to revert back to where it's temporary. That's the only thing you can do. So it's kind of like a cycle here. You take that objective view and realize, wow, this is my turn. This is what I'm going through. And, it's okay to feel sad, destroyed, broken, devastated, and all those other negative emotions that'll go with tragedy, grief, trauma, sadness, and just sit with it for a little bit, and, look outside and realize that this is just part of existing, and whatever the hell this is, that's it. And you're no different than anybody else that's going to go through some tough periods. And even though it feels like the world's caving in, it's just going to be like, it's just something that you're going to have to endure, whether it's a death, health scare, anything, something that's a financial loss, a job loss, a spousal loss, anything, just something that doesn't feel right, a bad altercation with somebody, losing a friend, all of that stuff. It's going to be part of life, and realizing that, some people will be part of your life forever. Some are part-timers, some are, very short time, some are there for a purpose that you find, and that's it. So to recap, 7 rungs or 7 points of less fucks is realizing that this shit is temporary. Number 2 is, in 100 years, will this even matter? Use that one within reason, because some things do matter. Number 3, if me or my children or anyone close to me had a serious illness, would I even stress about this? That's another way to look at it. Prioritize things, and if find those things. If these 3 or 4 things are good, everything is pretty good. Even then, it kind of alleviates the panic of of everything else. So number 4, most people will find criticism and negativity in whatever you do. There's just no changing people. There's no helping at times, and it's not even worth it. So number 5, and go along with it, it's for a reflection on them and not you. So if you can combine those two and realize that they're going to find fault in you, they're going to find some sort of negativity within you, and just sort of say, hey, that's you, man. That's on you, especially if you feel like you are doing good and you are putting out positivity into the world. Then that's 100% the way. And, and then realize you are not the star of life. That's another big one. We all think now social media, we think we're celebrities or something because we all have a following and we can make reels and do TikToks and all that other shit and just, entertain everybody and get likes and comments and fluffed and all that shit. We are not the star of life. Everyone's got a social media account. Your follower count doesn't matter. Your likes don't matter. None of that is going to mean shit in 100 years either. And then number 7, like I said, take an objective view, step outside yourself, realize you're human. This may just be your turn to take some negativity on in your life, some tragedy, some hard times, and that's it. And you're not a victim in that case most of the time, within reason. Obviously, if you get a health diagnosis, that could be victim, and you lose a limb, something like that. Something extreme, then you are a real victim. But I think in most cases you can follow those and just sort of alleviate a little bit. It doesn't go away fully. I'll tell you that. Like if something's bugging you, it's going to still be there. Nothing alleviates it fully like you want in so many cases, other than acceptance. Acceptance is another very big thing too. We can talk about, but resistance sucks. Resisting something sucks. So remember, if you're resisting, the best thing you can do is really just let that shit go and accept whatever that is as best you can, and just become unfuckwithable. Don't give a shit. Really, truly stop caring what anybody thinks about you, and their opinions are just literally intangible pieces of thought that can't be changed or reconstructed just based on the way you feel about it. So that's sort of how I look at things. That's a way that I alleviate some pressure off my body when I'm feeling overwhelmed or down about anything. So that's just something you can kind of put together, if that made sense. So that's it. That's what I wanted to get out there today. I said I'm going to be doing this weekly, but I am taking a trip next week for work, so I may not have a podcast out next week, but I will be back the following for sure. In the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with me, Instagram and LinkedIn are the best spots at MFS Wellness. Even better is probably email right now, mike@mfswellness.com, as I am sporadic with my social media, as that has been a huge help in just kind of simplifying life and being more at peace. So either way, I am responsive there, and we'll get to it. But again, hey, fall's coming. Everyone, get your Halloween decorations out. Get your fall stuff going. It's time. Pumpkin spice is out. Crazy shit going on. Time is flying, like I say. So enjoy yourself, and we'll be back with an episode soon. And thank you to all who listen.